Welcome to Being Confident from Within with Natalie Potts, the podcast that shares what it really takes to be confident. I'm passionate about helping people grow businesses with confidence. Does it seem like everyone around you is naturally confident and sure of themselves? Well, the chances are they have self-doubts just like you. I'm in conversations with inspiring individuals to share what confidence means to them and to help you find ways to believe in yourself and create confidence at any time. So on today's episode, I want to talk through the past month because I came up with this idea of my coach in July about focusing on confidence for a month. And the reason I did it was to actually get more presence on social media and visibility. And I was thinking about how can I focus on something I'm really great at and one of my strengths. And I feel that in some ways, one of my gifts in life is that I have natural confidence, or what's deemed to be natural confidence to people. So I'm very happy to walk into a room and feel I have purpose, feel I know what I'm talking about, feel vulnerable as well, ask questions if I'm not sure, and really just show up in a space where I know myself really well and with confidence, belief that I know what I want from where I'm at. So I thought, how can I help others be more naturally confident? And what can I do across the month? And it was with this brainstorming with my coach that I came up with the idea of doing a 21-day challenge, because challenges work well. They help to bring those lurkers sometimes, or people that are following you, kind of out the woodwork and say hi. And every client we work with has come from, at some point, a conversation. They've come from us saying hi and simply starting that basic. Yet we constantly find that we're around people, or we have clients that say to us, I just can't find my client. So lots of the work I do with clients is around connecting with people, serving them really well, sometimes doing things for free, because we all start somewhere. We've all got to master our craft. We've all got to get people to know us, like us, and trust us. And that's our work to do. That's what we need to do. People aren't instantly going to trust. Okay. So I looked back on where I've done really well in my life so far and what I can use in terms of my strengths, and in how I can really propel this and help others move forward in their development too, centered around confidence. I also believe that it holds many business owners back, and that's right across the board. It's men, it's women, it's whatever ages, and it's one of those ones where it then brings in self-imposter syndrome, all of the doubts we have, comparisonitis, procrastination, and it holds people back from actually achieving what they want to in life. And I kind of have this idea that we ain't got time for that, right? If we really want to live life true to ourselves and feel a sense of purpose and get to a stage in our life in years to come where we've had a life that means something to us and is true of meaning, then we need to make sure that we don't hold ourselves back and have any regrets. Okay. I really look at business and think, for me, the risk of not doing what I want is the biggest risk to take. Just not doing something. The idea that things won't work doesn't really come into my mind. I'm very much the art of the possible and an optimist, which you'll know if you work with me. It's not positive toxic, but it is certainly of what's the solution, what's going to get the result. Let's begin with the end in mind, and how do we do this approach with everything I do? Because I'm like, there's got to be a way. Well, let's find that way. Let's go and create it. Let's go and make it happen. And that's come from working in a team. I've worked with teams and high performers for over 19 years, which is over half my lifetime, leading high performance teams of say 15, 20 managers at a time, a workforce within that of 400 to 800 colleagues at one point. So doing something like what we would call a huddle every day and talking to over 50 people at one time is just very natural to me. But if I reflect back and think about where did that confidence come from, it started at a few people, and it started me feeling absolutely horrifically scared about doing that. But it's making something become familiar, habitual, and being consistent, and not fearing what will come from it. I can honestly recall so many times I've stood in front of people thinking, I have no idea how to get this result, but I need to make these people or influence these people to think that we're going to in some way do it as a team. And actually, do you know what? We are. I don't even know the answer yet, but we're going to do it. And some of that sounds crazy saying it right now, but it used to make stuff happen because you then bring people together and work as a team to deliver things. So I think there was moments for sure when I recall that I was so petrified of being in those scenarios and what they laugh at me, or I might say a joke and actually it's clearly not very funny, but you'd still pick yourself up and go again because the intention was there and the belief was there that I knew I could achieve results because I had great experience with what I was doing. I'd worked potentially probably then 15 years plus, working my way from the bottom to the top. So I knew what I was talking about. And I just did it well and I loved what I did. And that's about this idea of passion, knowledge, and belief. And also, I love this idea of confidence that if you have a lack of experience or knowledge, just tap into people that believe in you. And work was those experiences where it happened, where someone saw something in me that I didn't quite at the time. And school was that, when my drama teacher said, "You're really good at that." And I was like, really? I just didn't see it. So there are people around you that will believe in you and see your potential, even if there's pockets where you can't. So this month really opened my eyes. It got me into conversations with new connections, some amazing business owners across the podcast. And if you haven't listened to them yet, I invite you to go and listen to them. There's some amazing ones out there, from looking at travel, people who have baking companies, people who are in the media space, coaching space. My grief recovery specialist came on. There is a mountain of people from different backgrounds, experiences, and knowledge able to share wisdom with you to help you on confidence as they share what it means to them. But I'm going to share with you a few of the key things that have come from speaking with all of those people, because I think that's really going to help people to boost their confidence when we know that actually maybe it's a few things that can change our perspective. And when we start to have higher awareness and a different perspective on things, that's when we can make a decision to change things, because our thoughts will be related to then our feelings, and then we can look at changing those. So I know there was a great idea that confidence is a result of something. It is not a prerequisite, and that's really important. I want people to think about here. So how do you keep your confidence when things really are not going your way? And I came up with this question the other day. I was like, do successful people screw up? And I was like, yeah, of course they do, all the time. But they don't allow it to hold them back. And someone saying to them even, "You got this," doesn't necessarily make them feel better. Of course not. But they still have a tenacity about them, and they'll have a belief they can make it happen. And it's kind of looking at where that belief comes from. So things you can do to help this is know that there is no silver bullet for a start or magic formula. So all these people out there that you see that are simply not authentic, that are selling you stuff because it sounds great, but it's going to solve everything. I want you to really take awareness and go, gonna stop. That doesn't sound right. And take a quick walk in the other way, like a seriously quick walk, right? Brisk into run, because there is no one that can do that. And as much as I want to work with clients and retain clients, I also genuinely want the best results for people. And I'll know from my experience with therapy, counseling, mentoring, coaching myself, that I need a few people around me to be mentors, advisors, great listeners, creating space for me and to help me in their wisdom, because they all offer something very different. And I'm very fortunate that I've got that around me, but I've also created that. So success is no accident. You can intentionally go out there. It's about commitment, perseverance, learning, studying, failing, getting feedback, daily practice. And it all starts with awareness. Okay. So here are 10 things that I want you to think about. Step into your superhero and boost your confidence. One is adopting a champion's mindset. And Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And often people really underestimate the power in focusing on your mindset and personal development. And I invite lots of personal development into the work I do with business because they're not solo entities. You can't just come home and expect everything to be amazing at home if work's not going to plan and you're not doing well. And likewise, you can't expect work to be great if you're going through a divorce or there's something wrong, you've got children that are very ill or anything happening at home. It's just not possible. And I mean, there's certain levels of it, for sure, where you can, put on a facade or you can smile, etc. But on the whole, a human. And this is the part about the vulnerability here, that you need to have the vulnerability to go, I need some help on certain things, and to know that when they're not coming to plan and what you've got to do to get back on track. So adopting a champion's mindset will help you be able to be more self-aware of where you're at and what you need to do, and taking that self-awareness to go, this is what I need right now for me. And this may sound extreme, but however challenging it is about really looking at your negative belief system and focusing on what you can achieve and focusing on that all in. Second kind of here is the point is around knowing and trusting yourself. Understanding that your state is key to understanding change and achieving excellence. Our behaviour is the outcome to the state that we're in. So just as the same as someone is like a mind hoover, and we'll know those people in our lives or in our worlds that we've seen before, the opposite is also true. That when someone has a great energy about them, we feel empowered. We want to be around them more. We want to feel inspired by them. And we want a bit of what they've got. So most of our states are actually unconscious. So again, having that awareness is the foundation to the change. And just as love is a feeling or emotions, we can signal that in ourselves, that so is confidence. So we can create that. We can know that our beliefs, our values, our past experience determine the intention in the action that we take. And the action is what brings results. Being vulnerable. This was probably one of the most discussed points around confidence, and that when we receive negative feedback, instantly, very naturally as well, our defenses are heightened as we feel that we've failed, or that someone's judging us, or that fear takes a lead as a way to protect us. So having the courage to know you will make mistakes is key. You've got to know that it is these experiences repeated over and over time that help us feel more positive around things and just feel as well. So being vulnerable is about asking for help. And when we repeatedly do this over time, it just becomes familiar in our patterns and behaviours. And this helps us breed confidence. And as I shared earlier, the confidence here is an example that it's the result, not the requirement. Find your tribe. So this was probably one of my favourite ones. We all need mentors and people who believe in us. And as much as I said, think about that time when you were at school or your first job, really think about how those moments felt for you. What changed? And when you have moments of doubt about believing in yourself, focus on the positive and surround yourself with an environment of people who really drive you to be the best you can be. And then over time, you can start to question, and you'll start to notice as well when the people are negative in life and when they show up. And I guarantee you will have less tolerance towards people like that, because they will simply hold you back. And you really want to then start thinking about, how do people serve you? How do people invest time into you? And likewise, how do you serve them back? And how do you invest time in others? You have to make success really a non-negotiable. And when others want you to succeed and they're around you sharing their experiences and being vulnerable too, that's what inspires you. So finding your tribe is an absolutely key one. Noticing the inner voice in your head. So if you've read the mind paradox, you'll be familiar with the idea of the chimp that's jumping around in our heads, right? The little monkey thing. And they say, give him a banana or box the chimp as such. And I always call this like mind chatter. And I remember being on a coaching day at the coaching academy where I trained actually, and now I mentor for them. And I sat there, and then there was like, does anybody here have mind chatter? And they were like, it went silent. And then they said, if any of you sat there and thought, do I have mind chatter? Do I have mind chatter? I think I have mind chatter. I'm not sure if I have mind chatter. Then you have mind chatter. And it was just a moment that it stayed with me, because it's so true. Like, we all have it all the time. And the point here is to question what that inner voice is saying to you. Is it loud? Is it soft? Is it strong or weak? And is it fast or is it slow? Really take time to listen to the thoughts that you have, and for each statement, make a conscious choice to change it into a positive. So, for example, I might say, I'm not very confident. Well, one, what evidence do you have for that? And two, start to change the narrative. Say that I can do this. I have got confidence. I know what I need to do. I need to go and get this knowledge. I need to build on this. I need to go and do X, Y, and Z. And then repeat those actions with purpose, certainty, and intent, because this is where you'll start to build that muscle, which people talk about it. And sports is always a great analogy for things. But confidence is simply a muscle. You've got to grow in confidence and build on it and work on it and do little things each day that take you forward. Around this idea of building confidence, I also wanted to bring in the idea of that someone's always waiting for you. We seem to live in bubbles or worlds, so sometimes my world is all around coaching, and I'll find that I can instantly get a bit of comparisonitis, or I'm not there, I want to be there, and always not being in the moment. And that challenges me to the way I live my life, because I really want to live life very content, calm, and also that I have enough. In reality, we always want more. And I kind of actually have a fear of success, which is very strange and something I've had to face into, in terms of that this could be a form of procrastination from fearing that. Because, like I shared, our experience would dictate where we're at. And my experience last year was being in a role where I pretty much had a decent amount of money, a lovely car, all of, I'd set myself up independently, financially, and everything. And it was the worst I've ever felt. It was the most unhappiest I've ever felt. So the idea that growing a business to achieve the goals of where I see it going, especially in the next 5 years' time, and almost surpassing that, which I know is in my capability, is scary. And it almost is then that the fear kicks in a bit as well, and it makes me doesn't want to be as bold and confident in what I want to do. So it's really been interesting to face into. But when you look into this idea that someone's waiting for you, it takes you on a road of that you just want to serve people. And the secret to living is giving. So Tony Robbins quote. And there's an amazing book, The Go-Getter by Bob Berg, where it's all around giving and connecting with people, building relationships from that, and growing businesses through people. Hence why I'm so focused on really getting genuine connections and that client experience. But the energy you give off determines the energy you attract. And you can't be one to everybody. You're not going to be liked by everyone, and that's absolutely fine. And I remember a scenario once where I was working in a London retail store, and I had one of my team leading an area of the store in the supermarket, and one of his colleagues on one of the counters clearly didn't like me. Absolutely fine. And one morning, I went up to him and just said, the level of service there wasn't great. Talk me through what's going on right now. How can I help, etc. And he clearly just, that was enough to tip him over the edge after that day. And I asked him to come upstairs. He didn't want to, etc. Anyway, he did in the end with his manager. And it was one of those scenarios where I smile and laugh now, but it certainly wasn't at the time. But his manager just sat, and I couldn't look at him because he just sat at me like mouth open with the way I dealt with this, because this grown man, very strong, certain amount of attitude to come back to you, which I could absolutely deal with, but he just broke down in front of me into tears. And in my head, I was like, holy, and I couldn't look at this manager because I was like, oh, what do I do? In my head, that dialogue. And then he just shared everything with me. And then after that, about the next 20 minutes, he just was like, thanks so much. He goes, it wasn't you. It's not personal. I've just had X, Y, and Z. And I said, that's fine. All I'd done was create that space for him to serve him. But the point here is around, I did share with him that, look, I said, you don't have to like me. I said, that's absolutely fine. But you do have to respect me, because I'm a leader here. And I'm a leader of your line manager, and I won't be spoken to in the way that you spoke to me. He certainly won't be, because I won't allow that. And you don't need to be like that as a person. So let's just talk about this relationship and what it looks like. But I want to just say here, you can have confidence and know what you stand for. And I wasn't going to stand for being spoken to like that. I didn't need to have the energy that drew him to me. And clearly I didn't, which is fine. But people can have respect. And I like to think of it that someone's waiting. So there's plenty of people there that are not waiting for us. But that can really hold us back. And that could have held me back in terms of me thinking I wasn't a great leader. I didn't serve him well. I didn't help him. When actually the reality was we weren't similar in how we worked together. Now, actually, strangely, our relationship grew very well out of that. But I had to work on it with effort. And I think obviously the environment we were in dictated that a little, because it was a set up scenario where he couldn't not to. Otherwise, if you didn't want to get on with me, it would have been you should think about what's right for you and staying here in the right way as such. And in terms of how he was going to be managed, because sometimes when we make choices to work at places, we have to agree to those things whether we like it or not. That's what we agree to. So I just want to bring here that the other side of that is that there's somebody waiting for us, right? But we instantly get drawn to the negative. So you've got to change your thoughts around that. And you've got to spin it sometimes on the fact that even this idea of energy is that by saying that and being that way direct, because you know what you stand for and you have it with confidence and certainty and intent, like I did with him, you actually draw people towards you. So when we talk about energy, it's about drawing people towards you and away from you. And you want to draw more people who want your energy and have your energy. And think about, what is it that you do that draws people? What is it that draws you to people that have energy as well? Who do you like as your mentors and your coaches or people that inspire you? And what is it about their energy that they have? Because I honestly think, and I was sharing this with my coach the other day, and he said it, so I'm not going to claim it to be my comment, but I feel it's true, is that energy is almost more important than time. Because if you don't have energy, all the time can matter in some ways, but you've not got the energy to go out and do it. And I just thought it was a great challenge and thing to think about. And not necessarily that they have all the answers, but just to think about. So the idea that someone's waiting also draws on that there are 7.2 billion people on this planet. So when people say to me they can't find clients, they don't know who to work with, and they don't know who needs value right now, or no one wants what I have to offer, I do get quite challenging on this one. So we limit ourselves on that. Always know that there is someone out there that can serve and help that needs you right now. So done is better than perfect, and just get out there. Another idea is, don't be so hard on yourself. So having mentors, great coaches and advisors around you will help you validate where you're at. And when I left the corporate space, I was very conscious of, again, knowing where my performance was, because I was told, and suddenly having to work on myself, that I knew I was very hard on myself. And how would I, be able to take the pressure off, versus actually know times when I need to listen up and say, actually, you got more in the tank than that, go for it. What's going on? What you're resisting? But you have to really have trusted relationships with people. So it's really important, again, going back to this know, like, and trust in terms of feeling confident around the people we're with. And people buy from people they like. They buy from people that make them feel good. So like Maya Angelou says, that people remember how you made them feel. It's really important that you think about that and focus on building relationships and empowering people to feel better about themselves and on track with their goals. So if people don't know you, you'll never be able to grow a business. So I've kind of linked this one in with, don't be so hard on yourself, and done is better than perfect, to just get out there. And I'll leave this one with the done is better than perfect. But no one ever really has a eulogy that says something like their PowerPoint was amazing, or do you remember that email that Nat sent that was like 100% grammar perfect? Like, nobody says that kind of thing, right? They'll say about the experience they had and the fact that they grew as a person, that it changed their life because they grew their business revenue, so they were able to go on more holidays and share more experience with their kids, that they were able to take them to Florida and Disneyland, and it was the best experience of their life. Those are the types of things that people will remember, and the way you can impact people. And I was having a conversation with a friend today who's a coach. We were just saying about really going all in on the idea of impact over income and really making a difference in people's lives. And just because everybody says that they want to do that doesn't mean that you can't. Nobody walks down the street and says, oh, there's 100 hairdressers. Yet everybody seems to sometimes challenge a space that, or we feel that people are challenging the spaces we're in. And again, that's us just having that as a limiting belief if we allow that to be true. Somebody said to me recently, coach is a saturated market, right? And I said, that's your choice in the way you see things. I said, I personally think that's a limiting belief that you have. And I know that there's something that I know what I'll offer my clients is very different. And that's what I do. So I don't really hold on to that thought. So again, that's knowing what you stand for and thinking, well, no, I do know that I can offer something more. An idea that is talked around a lot by Tony Robbins is this idea of modeling behavior. And Jim Rohn always says that you are the average of the 5 people you spend your time with. So assess your network. Are you in a network where you have a third of people where you were? Are a third of the people where you are right now? And a third of the people where you want to be? When you teach people where you want to are, you will learn by repetition. And we know that learning again brings more confidence because we'll do things over and over. Therefore, we'll get more familiar with things. And repetition is the mother of learning. Being with people where you are at brings relationships where you can reflect, you can have validation in a good way, you can focus on sharing best practice, you can empower one another on a journey, which is key for those days when you have limited beliefs show up, because it's going to happen. And it's going to have days, months potentially, when you will have self-doubts and you've still got to be focused on the vision and the end in mind. So this is a really powerful space to be, is when you surround your circles in people, where places where people want to be or where you want to be. So making sure you know what's involved with that and modeling the behaviors that successful people have. They say success leaves clues. And it's around thinking of the language they use. How's their personality? What's their demeanor like? What's their body language telling you? Which I've said, but in a way of almost reading what's not being said in a room. I find with successful people, like people that I redeem are either where I want to be or have built very successful businesses. And sometimes people that just say I'm very happy and successful, because I think that's really powerful in itself. Those people that are able to say, I'm very happy and content, and that's success to me. So model the behaviours and the language I use and everything, but also make it very natural to you. That's the point. Don't copy this stuff, just model it. And these people are no different from you. So be confident in knowledge that you can and have what you need to do to achieve greatness too. And my final points, this would be like 10 points or 10 ways to boost your confidence when running a business, is exercise and performance. And I talk a lot about this because it's almost my secondary message in my fitness. I absolutely love it. It keeps me on track. It's very relatable to goal setting, to discipline, to tenacity, to the mindset. And I go to bodybuilder gym actually. I've done it for quite a few years on and off. But reason is because of the environment plays such a key part and keeping me on track. And I can get in conversations with people I'd never ever be around circle-wise or society-wise. But what I love is that we can be able to have a genuinely rich conversation, and it's authentic and it's fun, and it's full of energy because we have something that's in common. And that's really empowering to me. I love that. So we all know that we feel better with regular exercise, and your responses are better to stress. So you'll be able to approach situations more rationally and with less emotion if you've got your performance and your exercise on track. Everything you do requires energy, which we said about earlier, and you have more energy when you're fit. So this part becomes about balance and this idea of working smarter, not harder. I really had to challenge myself when I started the business on the fact that not doing exercise because I'm busy at work is not okay. That's me procrastinating or accepting that it's not as important, and actually it's probably the most important thing I should do. So remember, confidence is a result of experience. Confidence is a result of knowledge. and confidence is a result. So I hope that has inspired you in some ways to think about confidence a different way, shared some of the amazing things that have come through, spending so much genuine time with amazing people the last month, and inspired you in knowing that you can achieve what you want to do and you can be confident in business, and what that looks like and how you can do it, because that's a really important part, is how you do it. And I think if anything is, make this work for you. That's really important. Thank you for listening to Being Confident from Within. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and it inspired you in trusting no matter what happens in any particular situation, you'll be able to handle it and learn from the outcome. I really love hearing from you, so please leave a review and let me know which part of the episode resonated with you the most. Have an amazing day.